Planning your dream European trip? Before you pack your bags, avoid these 7 common mistakes that could ruin your vacation, especially number 3. We've lived through them, so you don't have to. Hey, trekking tribe, we're the Castros. We are a family living abroad who loves to travel and is exploring Europe one country at a time. If you love family, travel, planning trips, and avoiding tourist traps, hit that subscribe button and let's get into today's topic. So, mistake number 1 is overpacking. One of the biggest mistakes we made early on was packing way too much. In Europe, you're often walking upstairs, or you're hauling luggage across cobblestones, or you're squeezing into a tiny train compartment. Okay, the hallways are narrower. Everything is smaller. So you do not want to do this. My pro tip is to pack for 7 days max. Even if your trip is like much longer, you can always do laundry. Check out my other videos. I show my 20 packing tip videos. I'll show you the Tide Pods that we use and how we use all of our packing situations. So just don't overpack because it's going to cause so much frustration. Mistake number 2 is not validating your train tickets. In certain specific countries, not all, but some of them, like Italy and Austria, buying a train ticket is not enough. You have to go a step further and actually validate it before boarding the train. We learned this the hard way in Rome. You need to look for, it's either usually like a green or yellow machine where it's like near the tracks. You insert your ticket and to stamp the time, okay? Do note though that this is not needed for mobile tickets or reserved seat tickets, okay? So this is situational, but it is a really, really important thing because I'm pretty sure they can fine you like 50 euros if you don't do this or something like that. This is what I've heard. So make sure that you timestamp it. Again, if you have purchased tickets in advance and like reserved seats, or you have it on your phone, you do not need to do this. This is like only if you are buying them there in person at the actual ticket office and you have the physical ticket in your hands. And again, this is not every country. These are only select countries. So do your due diligence and make sure that the country you're going to, whether this applies or not. So mistake number 3 to avoid is thinking that you're going to use Uber everywhere. Originally, this one really kind of caught us off guard. Uber is not as common across Europe as it is in the US. Like honestly, in fact, in some places, Uber is banned or it's been replaced by other local ride apps or taxis. Also, generally, it's the most expensive ride option. So it's not one that you're probably going to want to bank on for every single country, okay? Especially if, and it's also the most expensive unless you're going to like do something specific and like hire a private driver. That's obviously going to cost you the most money. But for like actual transportation means, Uber is the most expensive. Things like Bolt or Ride Now or Free Ride, something along those lines. It is much more economical, and honestly, we've had better customer service there. So in Valencia, we ended up waiting 25 minutes for the Uber, only for it to cancel 3 times. Again, that was because of the car situation, but Uber, we've had the worst luck with in the US and out of the US in Europe. So my tip would be avoid Uber, use something like the bus, local transportation, or if they have something like Bolt, do Bolt. Don't do Uber if you don't. But if it's what's easiest, like my dad, he travels for work all the time. And when we were visiting in Europe, he does use his Uber account and has no issues. So just know that it's not the most cost-effective way, but buses and trams, Bolt, Free Now, metros, those are always great. So always be sure to check your local transportations and what apps that they have. So honestly, do not do number 3, okay? Because it is a big time and money trap. Avoid Uber or find a different ride share situation or local transportation for the country you're visiting. So mistake number 4 is not checking the holidays or the siesta times. Like in Southern Europe, siesta time is like real. Shops and restaurants can shut down for hours in the middle of the day, especially like in smaller towns. Some even like the whole month of August, they'll be vacationing and the whole town doesn't even like work in August. So you could go and nothing will be open. And also on Sundays, like forget it. Most things are closed. Like for example, lots of restaurants in Valencia close and do not serve food for dinner. Like they don't open back up until like 8 or 9 p.m. They shut down after lunch for a few hours and they stay that way. So you need to know what the restaurant culture is like, what the meal culture is like. When do they eat? Do they eat at 6? Do they eat at 8? Do they eat at 9 or 10? Because that affects sometimes the open local availabilities of the restaurants around you. So you really do want to check the also your local holidays and the calendars and plan your activities around them. Maybe don't go on one of their major Orthodox holidays or Catholic holidays because things are going to be closed and they might have street closed. Other things are just going to be shut down so that people can enjoy their holiday. So just being aware of those too. Download offline maps and also pack some snacks, okay, for all of these little doodads. So mistake number 5 is not booking popular sites in advance. I cannot stress this enough. It is if it's a major attraction that you are going to or you have on your itinerary or guide or whatever it might be, book it ahead. Do not wait last minute because lots of things, there are not going to be options for you to get in and see them. They're going to be sold out. Or if they're not sold out, you're waiting in a line for hours with other people. Nobody wants to spend their vacation waiting in a line for hours, okay? Or you've missed your chance to see it. So book them ahead. So like imagine you're in Paris and you don't get Eiffel and you have no Eiffel Tower tickets, okay? And they're sold out for 3 days. That could really put a damper on your trip. So reserve your top attractions and popular sites before you even go, okay? And there's it's going to save you not only a lot of time, it's going to save you time that's waiting in the lines, time of figuring out when the tickets are and what you want to do. And there's also like you can opt for options like skip the lines for an extra cost at certain places. So if you also want to get in ahead of people, you can not only buy your tickets in advance, but you can opt for a skip the line and you have like your own little private line that's usually shorter and you can kind of skip the other lines of people that have paid. You don't have to check the line. Sometimes if you have like lots of kids, it might be a good option to do that. Other than that, it depends on the city and the season that you're traveling, whether I would suggest to do that or not. So my pro tip is to book online weeks before for top attractions such as the Louvre, the Colosseum, famous churches, and museums. So jumping into mistake number 6. Ignoring local customs or dress codes. Okay, Europe is diverse and that includes its cultural norms. Okay, in many churches or cathedrals, you usually need to cover your shoulders and your knees to enter. On top of it being just overall generally respectful for the culture and the church that you are entering. So it's a good idea to, if you know that you're going to a city that you will be exploring those type of attractions, or that is the culture. If you've done your research, always carry like a lightweight scarf or a shawl. That way it can be a cute little accessory to your outfit. And if it's hot, you then can just throw it around your shoulders while you are visiting. And then when you come back out, you can put it back around you as a little accessory and you will not be over hot. And it is essentially lightweight. It takes up no space and it will not make you hot. Also, tipping is not the same. So in some countries, it's optional or it's already included in the bill. And by optional, I mean like you can round up a few dollars. So do your research and be aware of the tipping culture in the country that you are heading to. And some of them, they add the gratuity on if it's like a certain amount of people. So you just really got to read it carefully. And sometimes it's only like a 5%. Sometimes you only tip up like $1 or 2 or €1 or €2. Sometimes it's like a 10%. So just know that different countries are different, and do it before you go. So lastly, this brings us to our last one, mistake number 7. Currency confusion and foreign transaction fees. And it's a nightmare. It's not a fun one, right? Like, this one is not exciting. But whatever you do, do not wait to exchange your money at the airport. The rates are terrible. You're going to get the worst bang for your buck. And honestly, they do those little sneaky foreign transaction fees. Like, they can add up fast also with your bank. So you need to plan ahead. Use the Capital One travel credit card where you get free points for flying and staying in hotels and discounts. And know that your purchases are covered internationally and they don't have foreign transaction fees, okay? So use a card where there's no international fees, like Revolut, Revolt, Wise, Capital One. I do think Chase maybe has one. I'm not sure on that one, but we personally use Capital One. We also use Wise for international bank transfers. And now we use Revolut now that we are residents in Romania. Also, not every country uses the euro. Romania, Hungary, Poland, Denmark, and the UK all have their own currencies, and that's just to name a few. So keep that in mind that, yes, euros are widely used in Europe, but not every country uses euros. Like here in Romania, we do not use euros, right? We use the Romanian RON, the lei, right? We use everything in lei. But for like large purchases, like if you're going to go and buy a house, rent an apartment, or buy a car, you're going to see the prices usually listed in euros. And sometimes you pay in euros and sometimes you're going to pay in lei, but sometimes you'll see the higher ticket items. They just list it in euros, but you pay in lei. So just some things to keep thoughts about. And that's really important to know as well when you're going to get your cash. When you're bringing cash with you, you need to know what currency is going to be used and if they use physical currency a lot or if they're more of a digital country, which it's always still really wise to bring, even if it's completely digital, bring some cash with you because you never know. And the worst thing to do is to be stuck with no cash. So my tip, always also choose to pay in the local currency when like not in your home currency. So when you go to swipe your card, it'll come up on the screen and it'll say like, okay, US dollars or Canadian, or you can pay in the local currency. So euros or lei. Pick the currency of the country you're in. So if you're in Romania, pick lei. If you are in the UK, pick the pounds. If you are in Italy or France, pick euros because your foreign transaction rate, it's going to be less and you do not get charged as much. So here's my bonus mistake. Rushing too many countries. Trying to squeeze like 5 countries into 7 days. Been there, regretted that. It's exhausting and you're not going to be able to see everything. And honestly, you might see everything, but you'll experience nothing. So slow your travel down, deepen your memories. So we found that staying longer in fewer places gives you better food, local insights, and overall more joy. And honestly, less frustration, right? Of having to move hotels a lot and the kids and the transportation. And then your transportation adds up too. So the more places you stay, the more money you spend sometimes. And the more times you have to pay for trains and cars. So that also is another way to cut some of your cost as well. So, all right, Trekking Tribe, I hope that this list saves you from future headaches that we have unfortunately experienced on the road that we have learned from and that now you won't have to. So which of these mistakes have you made, if any of them, before? Drop it into the comments because there's no judgment here. And if you're planning your own Europe trip, check out our Europe travel guides that are packed with information and packing lists galore, and it'll be linked in the description box below. And I'll try to remember to put it as a comment when this video releases. So like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more real family travel tips from Trekking with the Castros. See you next time. Happy trekking. Bye.